Hey everybody, how's it going? I just shot this wedding yesterday and managed to have a little extra time to think about details as I was photographing them. We had extra 20 minutes or so. Normally I knock out details in about 10 or 15 minutes at the very most. It's usually a pretty quick endeavor, but since I was sitting there with extra time, I figured I would record a video with my thoughts about wedding detail shots as I was shooting them. You'll be able to see, hopefully, the imported pictures in the thumbnail, picture in picture, as the video is playing. And I might pause and clarify certain points or add to things the way that I'm doing now using this mic today. But this is actually a great example of a really standard venue for me. This is the vast majority of my weddings. This is exactly what the reception halls or ballrooms look like. Not uncommon at all. The level of decor. This is pretty common, just in terms of the minimalism and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. Hopefully this will play without any issues. And if you look very closely, I'll try and make it a little larger at certain points. You'll be able to see my camera settings and the text that's overlaid with the photos as I play them. So let's go.
Okay, so I do want to talk about something that is probably more boring from a technical perspective, but super important, and that's detail shots. So I'm probably going to slip in a wide picture or two from what I'm taking from my camera, but you can probably see from the video as well to get a sense of the space. It's pretty minimally decorated. Obviously candles make a big difference, but this is the one time of day where I tend to go a lot more vertical, just because when you start getting place settings in with bouquets and centerpieces, it just draws the eye vertically way more than horizontally. So it's probably the most vertical time of the day, other than wedding party photos. I tend to go vertical with the groups of bride with each bridesmaid and groom with each groomsman. But the cake, all centerpieces, most flowers, I tend to shoot vertically. But this is the time of day, if you own a primary lens, a prime lens, like anything in 1.2, 1.8, 1.4, open that thing up. Lean into the bokeh as much as you can, unless it's a giant object you're photographing where you need a lot of context. Try and pay attention to the centerpieces and see if a lot of people, this wedding doesn't have it, but these little center menu items, a lot of people will do different ones for every single table. And if not different text with something about the couple or maybe the numbers in a different, unique way, then sometimes they have different place settings or, centerpieces. Here's the couple now, so I'm going to stop talking for a second.
Okay, I can probably skip. Oh, you can see the couple.
But I try and pay attention. If they have unique place table centerpieces for each table, I will get a photo of every single one. If they tend to be like this wedding and sort of just numbers that are the same over and over, I'll get 2 or 3 variations and call it a day, with the wide shot. If the couple has their own center table, definitely shoot the heck out of that in as creative and varied a way as you possibly can. This couple has disco balls everywhere, so I'm excited to maybe pull those out for a night shot. But I see a lot of photographers think of the detail time of day as sort of something they can slack on a bit or do super quickly, and it can be easy and you can do it quickly, but it requires just as much compositional thought and lighting consideration as any other part in the day. It's super, super important. And, that's coming from me, and I show no detail photos to anybody anywhere. But it's half the reason why other vendors that work on the wedding day like to refer me out for future weddings, because I document their work well. So be hypersensitive.
I'm sure you're used to all this madness.
Oh, this is super calm. This is not madness.
It's so chill. Yeah, this is awesome, guys. Anyway, so the only other thing to mention is be hyper aware of any personalized details, like photos of other weddings that people put up. And if they don't do a good job at decorating things on site, like they did a pretty good job here decorating them with candles, but say they didn't do that, I might actually even take 1 or 2 candles or 1 or 2 decorations from somewhere else and temporarily place them next to whatever I'm photographing, just to spice it up for the photo, and then I'd return it right back. So these are all good things to keep in mind. The only other thing I'll mention about tables and place settings is I do tend to like to find table number 1, and as long as the light is good and it's got nice decorations and everything works out, that tends to be my primary thing that I showcase, just because I think the number 1 simply looks cleaner and makes more sense mentally when you're looking at a whole series of detail shots. So tight, tons of really close-up pictures, and then 2 or 3 wide shots from maybe 2 different perspectives. That's all you need. If you can, if the planner's flexible and there's time in the timeline, I do try and ask them to empty the room for a quick room shot with nobody in it. But it's also really easy to take a long exposure. So set the camera somewhere on a tripod or on a table for like 30 seconds and just take a picture, and everybody in it that's moving will be blurry. So that can make the room appear empty. And also I like to have actually a full room picture. That's my preferred way once everybody is seated. So I'm fine just waiting for that too, for like big wide room shots. And that's about it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that was, let's see if I can get my camera back. Basically everything I wanted to talk about, pretty straightforward for a lot of people, but I just want to emphasize that the amount of effort and time and energy that go into details is sometimes shocking and unexpected. So don't underestimate any aspect. If it looks like it was put there for a reason, I guarantee it took them like 30 minutes at least to decide on that object being in the room. Before I recorded that video, I took a picture of the like the table numbers, and those were disco balls, and there were only maybe like 80 people there. And the groom pulled me aside and he was like, "Thank you for taking photos of those. That took me 4 hours." And all he had to do was tie a string with a label to a disco ball for like 80 people. And yeah, it took him 4 hours. So I hope this was illuminating. If you have any questions at all about detail shots, let me know. My lens choices, typically 24 or 50. Again, I open them up as much as I can, 1.4, 1.2. I will stop down if I want to get a little bit more depth of field and get some detail in whatever the object is that I'm photographing, if it's a larger object, but I typically shoot pretty wide open. 85 is also a fantastic detail shot thing. And then for rings, I was mostly talking about reception details, but for rings, I actually don't even bother with a macro anymore. I just use a 50. It's not even a macro lens. And then I crop it in camera, 1.5x or whatever the in-camera crop is. And that gets me totally close enough for basic ring shots. I don't put a lot of time and energy into those. Again, be thoughtful in your compositions and lighting, and make sure you cover absolutely everything. If you can do it without people in the room, planners tend to prefer that. But if you have to, just take it once it's full of people. Don't do any of this like in progress stuff. I mean, I take pictures of people entering the room and whatnot, but like if you're getting a picture with the intention of showing off the space, get everybody seated at the same time, find a place to put your camera. A long exposure shot works beautifully for, once people are up and about and dancing, do a 30-second exposure and it'll look mostly like nobody's in the space. Pretty cool. So hopefully you found that helpful. I'll be back soon with some more deconstructions. Bye, everyone.